Rightio, let's continue with the next part to these tutorials, which will be the gyroscopes. As you see, I've already pre-made 4 of them to be installed at this area. So you see, I got the model here ready to have them installed. All I need to do now is just make them. So I've already pre-cut that. That's just basic knowledge on how to cut everything out and everything. I left this one uncut because we have to do some scoring here. So you're just going to score these little tabs here. Can't see it, can you guys? No. Just got to do a little scoring. Basically what you guys got to do is you just got to score on these tabs here. On these ones here. And then you want to continue via cutting these out. Cut. As you see, it doesn't take that long to cut them out. Now, time that I spent on making those 4 gyroscopes over there, I think I spent a good hour on them, just making them. Whereas you may take longer because you might be following these tutorials or doing them. I don't know how you guys are making these and how long it takes you, but yeah. So now we want to fold this long tab here, so the one that goes up. I want to fold the tab on the edge here, so this tab here. So you want to fold this long edge, this tab, and then you want to I don't know how to explain this, but roll the long bit. Just gonna want to roll. Now what you want to do is this tab here. So this tab, you got to go this down and onto it. So you do that via applying glue. This is the part where you really need tweezers, guys. Apply some glue. And that. So what you want to do is align it up. Then come on. There we go. Got them. This may take you guys a few tries like you just witnessed me. Apply a bit of pressure. Leave that to dry. Now these 3 circles. So you should have 3 circles. You want to collate them by gluing them. I'm just going to use a glue stick so they dry relatively quick. I was going to say I would use my flat headed tweezer, but I can't seem to find it. Just want to grab one circle, apply whatever you're using, place it on top of that, grab another circle, place that on top of the other circle, and just squeeze it down. Kind of place this on top of the other 2 circles to have this completed. Now you guys may be questioning, oh, where does this go? Now this, people, goes on thus bit here. turn my light off so you can see it. It goes on that piece. So I'm just gonna glue it on there. Turkeys. Okay, and then it goes on that X that you see there. So once it's on the X, press it down a bit. What do you go? Whilst we're waiting for that, you guys a quick rundown on the other one. No, actually I'll continue with this. So this will be dry by now. What do you know? You just want to fold the remaining tabs on the rest of this. As you see, the rest of the tabs on there have been folded down. And here comes the interesting part, people. So we now have to glue this piece here, where we glue the 3 circles together and place them on that, onto here. So I'm going to use glue. Paste it on there. And then kind of whack off the extras. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. So this just glues onto the tabs and then onto this long bit that we arced over before. Looks like we may have to apply a bit of extra glue. So just apply extra glue. I can confirm that the next video on these tutorials will be small details. So like once we get the gyroscopes done, we'll get like small details on the docking hub, the rear. So there's really tiny and fine details, and that will be placed under an optional section really. So you can choose to do them or not to. Well, yeah, we have that done. So once we wait for that to dry, we'll do these. So on the page with the gyroscope part that you just cut out, you'll see these 2 little thin white bits. You want to glue them together. So one flips on top of the other. Making sure. Firming. Glue it together. Now, as keen-eyed among you would have realised that I've rotated the orientation that I record. So I used to record upward, now I'm recording sideward. I had to change what I was using as a stand, so you may notice that the elevation is lower. Hopefully in the next video the elevation will be a bit higher so you get a bigger overview. This video was to really kind of test that after all. Right, yeah, so whilst that's drying, we'll do this part. So this is the weird part. So AMX has not put any tabs. So that causes a pain for us. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's a bit hard. So when making this, make each part separately, glue, turn it into its cone shape. So then I'll show you a little trick I use. I even do it even if there is tabs. So that's doing that, do this. Do. GIO. Kind of want to make sure the tabs line up almost perfectly. It's mad if you go a bit over the line, but if you go behind it, we're going to have some problems. So, don't do this part. So that small white bit we made before will not be really added to this until we actually glue on the gyroscope parts. Which I'll show you how to glue on all of them because of the different angle perspective things. In the end I have a little something to show you guys. Running out of time to actually make this thing. So I'll actually show you that on this model I actually did struggle a bit because it's kind of like cone overlapping the cone overlapping the cylinder part. So I had issues. So you want to start with the smallest cone, so the tip cone. So what I do, so I put glue in that little cone area. Cover the whole thing. Zippity zoo. And spread the glue inside that cone. Grab the cone that's the one after it, so it's the smaller cone. Smaller, I meant bigger. Kind of want to place that in there. Now, the same thing actually applies to when you're making the skin colored ones. I'll still give you a brief overview how to make them. Kind of want to push down to make sure it sets. Here comes the tricky part, of course. The tricky part here is I'm not using my glue bottle yet. Here we go. So you sort of want to place glue on the brim. Oh, crackers. Place that on there. So you're going to make sure all seam lines line up, by the way, guys. Well, on the cone parts. So that's going to come out very key. Especially when making these gyroscopes. So we're just going to leave that to dry. Trying to move this part out of the way. So we can get dry over there. Its counterparts. So brief overview, do the same thing as you did before. Except for actually drop the part. Yeah, completely ignored that step. Crud buckets. Ooh. Got him. Caught on 4K. Just quickly make sure the seam lines up. That will show you a very cool trick when it comes to putting the white parts of the cones that you've already combined it onto the skin color part. I'm also going to say this now, when AMX officially releases the CRS22 payload, I'm going to already have tutorial videos pre-recorded for that. So if you guys require help with that payload, just tell me in some form and I'll post the videos out. And after the Tianhe tutorials, I'll be doing the Tenzu, which I've already started progress on making the model before I go ahead and do a actual tutorial. Show you that at the end too if I have time. See, I'm just going to place it like that. Hold it down. Righty-io. So with this, you want to. So with this skin color part, you want to roll it. So you see this little overhanging tab. So you just want to apply glue on that. And you want to close it all the way. So now you want to close this, like all the way in. So it looks a little something like that. So there's no real gap between the arch, it's just arch to arch. Just going to have that held down whilst I glue these. So same thing as before, get the top cone, apply glue in it. Can't place my glue there. Take away any excess glue. Just place this on tip. There you go, that's glued. So now here comes the interesting part, and the part that probably everybody gets, I don't know, maybe a little frustrated with. Gluing these top cones into this. So I'm just going to quickly form it. So you want to apply glue on the skin color thing on the inside is what I found works. Because most of the time the cones want to go inside the cone. So you just want to place some glue inside the cone. Kind of force the cone, gently force the cone into that skin colored area without trying to force it down really. And eventually it will just calmly sit there touching the glue, so when the glue dries it's hard attached is what I'm going to say. So I've placed it in there now. So here comes the interesting part of the tutorials after I quickly glue the dome onto this white bit. So you want to place some glue on the little white circle on the other side, so opposite to the side that's got the 3 circles. Place like a stuff glue there. Then place a little cone bit like that. See, cone bit. Then on the other side is the 3 circles. So I'm just going to push down on that for a bit. Try and convince it to really glue. Here comes the fun part, ladies and gentlemen. Gluing them to the model. So as you see, there'll be arrows, arrows, and a flat line, arrow, arrow, arrow. So we're going to start with the flat line, the flat, rectangle area. So we're going to apply some glue on that rectangular line. Now we're going to clean it up so there's no real actual excess. Ooh. So then we want to place this gyroscope on that box, really. And so the cone side will be facing this way to the antenna. So to the left, if you're looking at the antenna, like this. Push it down, but not too hard, otherwise you might bend the cone a bit. Kind of want to wait for that to dry a bit. Feel free to give like a little blow onto the glue. Sometimes it can convince the glue to dry a bit quicker. Here comes the part of attaching this little thing. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some glue up here and down on the base. So I'll show you guys. So I just group of glue like up there. Little blip of glue right down there. So to give you an idea, I placed some glue up there, just above my finger, like there. That might blob it. I'm just going to lightly spread it across. Now with my tweezers, I'm going to grab onto this bit, going to hold it, then attach it. So you see my actual gyroscope fell off a bit. So I'm going to apply some glue very ever so carefully. Glue it back there. Damn it. So you see I haven't quite waited long enough for this glue to dry. It's kind of the key when you're working with these. Just going to use my light so you guys know where to place the glue. So I realise my light interferes with the camera. I'm so annoyed. And I'm just going to say some very nice words to this model. Rightio, there we go. So we want to get that to kind of be placed like that. I couldn't care less how it's placed. So now here comes the very key part when doing stuff like thus. So you see these arrows. So that's actually where the seam line goes. So that's the way the direction. So you got your seam line here. You got your arrow that points slightly up that way. So that's the face that the seam line goes. So it doesn't go straight up. It goes angled off. So before you glue it, you kind of want to make sure you're on the seam lines on that pointy line. So where the tip meets to that point, that's where the seam line is going to be. That's when you glue. as one shall demonstrate as soon as it gets off my finger. There it thus goes. So I'm going to start on the right to the first gyroscope we placed on. So I'm just going to place some glue. Right, so here's where it comes key. So the arrow is pointing off a bit. So you want to kind of align your seam line to be pointed off center, aligning with that point end of the arrow, as you will see there. See, so it's not completely straight, it's off a bit because the arrow says that. So you kind of want to push down a little bit. So you want to do that with all gyroscopes, really. Rightio, let's move on to the next gyroscope, which I'll do to the left here. Yet again, this is the same rule that applies to pretty much all of them. They don't go straight up, unless the arrow says otherwise. So you see, this one doesn't point straight up, it points slightly to the right, pointing towards that more complicated. So you see, not directly up, a little off to the side as the arrow points out. And we'll do this one next to it. Apply a bit of glue. Rightio, grab another gyroscope. So this one doesn't point straight up, nor to the right, just points to the left-ish. And there we go. So then that one's pointing slightly off to the left. So treat the circle as a compass, that straight up is north, and then east is to the right, south is the bottom, and then west is the left. So most of the ones that where the arrows are slightly left, they're more north-west side, and the ones to the right more like northeast, southeast. No, sorry, northeast, yeah, only northeast. Yeah, so they won't straightly line up, so move to the next one. Apply glue, spread it. Now you will note that the gaps between these three here is slightly larger than each other. See it again, seam line pointing to the end of the arrow. Which you start to see this common pattern. So you see it's on, pretty firm. The glue will need time to dry, so if you feel like the thing is just coming off too repetitively, glue it on there, then don't really do anything to it, just let it dry. So this is why when you're modeling you really need patience. And as you see, the last gyroscope is a little more distance away. I think I got pushing that down a bit. Can I wait? Just let me finish this.
I'll do the girls' bit, and then it's got to be cleared, otherwise I won't do it at all. Right?
Yep. Rightio. Minor distraction there, bud. But resolved quickly. Rightio, and there is all gyroscopes installed. Just clean away any excess glue you find. And there you go, there is all 6 gyroscopes installed. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of them installed. So that will almost bring a conclusion to our video, but as I promised, here is my Tianhe 2, which is sort of draft at this stage really. So I'm basically making one, it's like I did with Tianhe, I make one off camera and then I make one on camera. But the other announcement is, I finally have magnets. Now right here I have the smallest set of magnets, which is 201s, which is 2 mils in diameter and 1 millimeter wide. So here is a 500 pack of them. Yeah, as you see, they're tiny little buggers, but they're really strong. I will say that they are really strong. So that will now bring a conclusion to our video. Me signing off, packing these magnets back in the thing so I don't lose any. So not be ideal losing magnets. So that'll be a conclusion to our 6th or 7th episode tutorial on how to make these. So the next video will be small details on Tianhe, so therefore I can continue with something like the solar panels or the arrays maybe. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial.